Joining us now is House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers, Republican from Michigan. Attorney General Eric Holder blames Congress for his change of heart to prosecute confessed 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed before a military tribunal now instead of a civilian court. What do you say to that, sir?
Well, welcome to America. That's certainly, I think, the majority will of the American people was not to have Khalid Sheikh Mohammed brought to New York City. New York City said they couldn't handle it. The security costs alone were astronomical. It would have been a three-ring circus at best. And at the end of the day, the best place to have a trial like that is a place that's very difficult for bad guys to get to, that provides all of the due process that a military tribunal holds, and that is at Gitmo. And finally, it was the right decision. And if it took the American people, I mean, Congress is an easy blame, but that really is an American popular belief that that should happen in the best interest of national security for the country.
Your colleague, New York Representative Peter King, says Holder should resign because of his opposition to military tribunals and congressional involvement. Should he?
Well, I certainly think that it's the president. He serves at the pleasure of the president. I find his positions troubling. He was opposed to the military tribunals, and of course now that's exactly where we are. He was opposed to keeping Guantanamo Bay open, and so was the president, but I think the facts of reality have slapped them all in the face, and they're going to now keep Guantanamo Bay open as a real option for us. I was disturbed that he would take a shot at Congress the way he did when that is the will of the people. It passed in bipartisan support. To try to tell him, you need to connect with the American people, sir. You are not elected. You are an appointed position. And we think we're a pretty good voice for the American people when it comes to national security.
All right, on Libya, you say the U.S. and its allies should be careful about arming the rebels there because al-Qaeda members may be in their ranks.
My concern is not only al-Qaeda elements, but we just don't know who these other groups of rebels are. Remember, this is a disparate group of rebels. This isn't a monolithic, altogether unified bunch of individuals. We do know what unifies them is getting Gadhafi gone. We don't know what unifies them when he's gone. And so you have, I don't want to be responsible for arming groups that will be in a civil war shooting at each other based on their tribal affiliations when Gadhafi is gone, and I do believe Gadhafi will be gone at the end of the day.
Representative, should the U.S. and the West take him out, or should the Libyan rebels take him out? Which would be better?
Well, I think just having him gone is the right decision. Now, who gets there and how that happens is certainly up for debate. But the worst possible outcome for us is a Gadhafi who has some remnants of power, who we know is a state sponsor of terrorism, the Pan Am bombing, the discotheque bombing, killing U.S. soldiers in Germany in the 80s, having a chemical weapons stockpile, having clearly the means and ability to conduct operations just outside of Tripoli and his country makes him incredibly dangerous. So I argue, and there seems to be a joining chorus now as we move into this, that are saying, hey, Gadhafi has to go. We need to be aggressive about how we do that. Best outcome is the rebels do it.
Gadhafi's been in power since the downing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland in December of 1988. What's changed since?
Well, he decided to get a little bit of religion, if you will. He gave up his nuclear weapons program in 2003, and when he saw the United States and coalition partners go into Iraq, he picked up the phone and said, I don't want to be next. He offered up his nuclear weapons program. We have it. It's actually in the custody of the United States. I went there and looked at his chemical stockpile, his biological weapons program. We think we got the biological weapons program shut down. We're not exactly sure we got it all, but he has a huge stockpile of chemical weapons and other weapons systems that concern us a lot. So he went from somebody who was forced into trying to do the right thing to being an absolute recidivist. And when he started slaughtering his own people, he reverted back to the same guy that we knew who celebrated the Pan Am bomber when he got released from the jail in England and showed up in Libya. If you remember the big celebrations, that's the Gadhafi we know and don't trust. And clearly when the rebels stood up and said, we're done with 42 years of totalitarianism, and his first response was to start slaughtering his own people, clearly to me he has become the same person that he was before he got any thought of doing the right thing because of the invasion in Iraq.
Princeton scholar Bernard Lewis recently said he's alarmed about the Islamization of Turkey, saying it could be the next Iran. Is this something the U.S. is focused on?
Well, it's something that we are concerned about. I happened to meet Erdogan before he was sworn in as prime minister, and one of his first courses of action was to try to actually get the 4th Infantry Division to go through Turkey on its way to Iraq. We didn't have much success then, but we've seen a troubling trend in Turkey to go to a more fundamental Islamist state. It's something that we worry about. It's something we're going to have to engage on. I think there's lots of other things we can do to encourage them to their strong roots of secular government, and that's something that we can participate, and should encourage Turkey to do. And what's most troubling is they're a NATO nation now, so we need to make sure that we're very, very engaged in Turkey to make sure they don't slide in a direction that I think is not only contrary to NATO's best interests, Turkey's best interests, but our national security interests as well.
Michigan Congressman Mike Rogers, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.